Hey guys, welcome back to another Yugioh video. So today I have a special video. So earlier, not even like an hour ago, I was playing just some random rated games, just trying to bring up the rating up to 1,000 as fast as I can, if I can before LCS 6. And so I was playing in rated, and I actually ran into head-to-head battles. If you haven't seen their channel, go ahead and check their stuff out. They blew up really quickly, and as any person who likes to show support, anyone who just goes for it and becomes successful at all love there. And so he was streaming at the moment. He was using Jen's deck, and so this was crazy because I was first off not expecting this, and second, it was a mirror match. Well, mostly a mirror match. I was playing the Dogmatika engine. I'm not sure if he was playing the Dogmatika engine, but I was playing Shaddoll Invoked Dogmatika, and from what I could tell, he was playing Shaddoll Invoked, and we both were running Dragoon. So, anyways, let's just get right into it. And it's really exciting when you just go ahead and just recognize someone and just start playing them talking. So I'm going first, and unfortunately I didn't draw any combo pieces. I really wish I could have just drawn, for example, the servant instead of the ecclesia, but I digress. I have to go ahead and continue to play. So we were just starting the conversation, just telling him that hopefully one day we can collab. And so I start out with the ecclesia. Search out for the punishment, and I set 3. I decided to hold back the schism just in case because I don't have any Shaddolls in my grave. At least the other 3 cards, I know I can get some value out of them, including the rush. So it goes into main phase 1. He opened pretty busted in my opinion. So he starts with the terraforming, goes for the light stage, activates it, gets Korobane. And I found it odd that he didn't really use the light stage until I had 1 back row left, but you're going to see how many traps he just baits out before doing that. So he goes ahead, special summons Korobane, I let it go. Summons the Invoker, I just go ahead and imperm. He changed the El Shaddoll, but instead of going ahead and using it on the Ignister to go ahead and fuse, and so you can still get the invocation, he decides to go ahead and go for a construct, which is still a good play. So he goes ahead and dumps the rush. After he summons the construct, I decide to go ahead and target the Ignister with the Alcalone as effect. I'm going to go ahead and get the aerial and just banish everything. So I will go ahead and target the rush, the Alistair, and the El Shaddoll. That way he's forced to go ahead and use another play, and he will not be able to go ahead and just combo off as easily. Unfortunately, because I did use Dogmatika punishment, it really hinders my next turn. So this is why you have to use Rush Shaddoll. I'm sorry, not Rush Shaddoll. Dogmatika punishment as a last resort, because if you don't have a follow-up play for that turn, you are in a really bad spot. So here he goes, he uses the light stage on my last set, which is the rush, which really I don't mind at this point. So I'm jokingly saying that, let me plug my channel in chat at the end, but here he goes for the window using the Shaddoll that he has remaining in his hand. So he pops the rush with dragon. And so he goes ahead and uses aerial to go ahead and banish the 3 targets in my graveyard, which was the Alcalone, the aerial, and the rush. Don't chain it because I don't need to, even though I could. So here he goes into battle, uses the window to go ahead and attack into it. I probably could have rushed to go ahead and prevent myself from receiving some damage, but I was thinking more, it wasn't really worth it. So here he goes for the Verite. And thinking about it, if I had set the Ecclesia, I probably could have at least survived one more turn. Or maybe he would have just gone into the Dragoon. But things happen. So I'm down to 45. And I draw into the, unfortunately, the Fleur-de-Lis. And so, because I drew Fleur-de-Lis now, if I would have had it last turn, I would have negated the Verte Anaconda, but one turn too late. So here I decided to just go for it, just try and see if I bait out what he's going to summon. If he bait out the Dragoon. He does negate. In this case, it's a good sign because that means that I get to go ahead and use triple tactics, but I can't use my extra deck, which is a bad thing. So I really have to go ahead and depend on either taking the Dragoon just to go ahead and do damage, or to just go ahead and draw to see what I can get. So here I go ahead and draw an A-lister and the Meltdown. Unfortunately, I joke around with him and just saying that I drew Godly, but I just really just drew an A-lister and a Meltdown, and I'm locked out of punishment. So here I decided to go ahead, and since I did lose the first game, I knew we were playing a mirror, so I decided to go first again, since I didn't see any of the Dogmatika package in his deck. So here I go for the Apcalone, and I actually go ahead, and because he didn't negate the Shaddoll fusion with the Ash, so I was thinking if he wanted to let it go through because he wants to trigger his own Shaddoll fusion, I decided to go ahead and see what was going to happen, but I didn't want my own effects to get negated with an Ash, so I decided to go ahead and chain block by targeting an Apcalone on itself. Go ahead and set a Squamata. I could have set the Hedgehog, and Hedgehog is really just for the Schism play, but because I know I'm in a mirror match, I don't want to go ahead and risk myself into that. So I go ahead and link off the Fleur-de-Lis and the Apcalone to go ahead and get the Verte Anaconda. Go for the rush and pitch the rush right away so I have a flip on my opponent's turn, popping a monster. Go ahead and get Dragoon out. And I have Punishment as my last resort. An Ash in hand that I could pitch for its own effect or for Dragoon, and a pop for the Squamata when I get the chance to flip it. So here he goes ahead and uses the light stage. He made a small miscalculation, but I knew what he was trying to do, so I just go ahead and tell him, just go for it. Yep, get the Corbane. Oops, that's not supposed to be there. And so he goes ahead and triggers the light stage, so I'm perfectly fine with it at this point because I'm not committed to anything right now. I don't know what he has, and I don't even know if he has a talents yet. So I'm trying to hold off to the last moment. So here, he goes for the Apcalone. He targets the Verte Anaconda for the Apcalone, and he goes to target my Apcalone, my Shaddoll, and the Fleur-de-Lis. And so I decided to go ahead and chain the rush because I was either use it or lose it. And I decided to go ahead and flip it on the Corbane. So he was going to resolve his chain, but Squamata is going to go ahead and trigger and and Corbane's gonna be taken off. Ooh, Tinder. Never mind. So I'm just having a fun time. I'm just like really excited for everything that happened today. So if anything, leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you guys are enjoying this. So I go ahead and pop the Corbane. He normal summons the Squamata. So here he goes ahead and really wants to think about it because he's worried about me going ahead and affecting his own Dragoon. So he goes into a Cross Sheep. Now this tells me that he's most likely not playing Dogmatika at this point because Dogmatika Invoked Shaddoll aren't really playing the Cross Sheep as much as we would like to. But it is still an option, but I personally don't run it because it tends to really clog up my extra space when I don't have anything to link climb into. So that's the only reason why I'm not using it at this moment. So here he goes and triggers the app clone. I decide to go ahead and let him use the Shaddoll Fusion because I actually let him get the app clone once effect resolved because I wanted him to see if he's going to discard a card in his hand. He discards the Wendy, and here when he goes for the Shaddoll Fusion, I decide to go ahead and negate it with Dragoon just to get the 1000-point boost. He attacks into the Verte Anaconda. I'm perfectly fine with it. And I decided to go ahead and at the end phase, because I was holding off on whether I should use the punishment or not to go ahead and get rid of the Cross Sheep and the Light Stage, I decided to just go for it because in that way I have back row for my following turns and not have to worry about him. Just going ahead and just popping and stuff, or just making sure that they don't get to activate. So I rather just go ahead and, even if I'm going to lose this card, I'm going to make sure I have some value out of this. So I send the Ents, or the Entis, however you want to call it. Go ahead and pop the Light Stage and the Cross Sheep because I'm going to be able to just get rid of the Falco on my next turn with Dragoon. So I draw into the Schism, which is actually perfect. So even if he were to draw anything, I would have actually just got it back anyway. But he pretty much doesn't have anything at this point. I just go ahead and Dragoon once, Dragoon again. And I just attack for as much damage as I can and keep the card in hand because he has no resources. And even if he used it evenly, I really would have just gone ahead and even if I want to negate it, I don't even want to negate it, so I just let it go. So here he goes first, and I'm actually pretty satisfied if it was if it was my first turn, but playing second in a mirror match is actually beneficial because of the fact is that any top deck that you have, you know most likely you're going to be able to trigger it and get it for the max value. So I decided to just go ahead and keep my cards tight. I already know I'm playing out on my future turn, so I'm just going to go ahead and let him play out his cards. Just tell him okay, pretty much almost everything right off the bat. But I don't let him know I don't have a hand trap, so I just go ahead and tell him K, K, K. So first he goes off into Candina, goes into Light Stage, gets the Corbane, summons the Corbane out, uses Shaddoll Fusion, goes ahead and gets into Construct, gets all three effects, Construct, Wendy, and Clown. He decides to go for Falco. And here he goes for the Verte. After he does this, and he does go ahead and send and gets an effect for Construct, I let him get it back. And honestly, the mistake at this point was that he shotgunned it but it wouldn't have really mattered. So here I'm thinking, okay, I'm probably gonna have to force out my next play by getting rid of the A-lister, but I'm actually thankful for my next top deck, which was the Shaddoll Fusion, and that card right there, that Shaddoll Fusion, pretty much sealed the game because of the fact that because I get to get resources out of my deck, even if it was just an invocation, it would have been great because I would have just done the same play. But this allows me to go ahead and make sure that my plays are not going to be hindered by anything that I do now. So he decides to go for this in the standby phase for the wind up, and honestly I would have just held it. So here I go for Shaddoll Fusion first. He decides to negate it, but I decided to just go ahead, and I could have sent the Shaddoll Fusion itself, but I was just like really excited at the moment because I had the dropless when he tried to use the Dragoon. So I go ahead and just pitch 2, negating both the Dragoon and the Winda. I make a construct, and I'm just doing this because I have an extra monster on board now. Go for Squamata and the Beast, just draw an extra card. I draw a Lightning Storm, and it really didn't matter because I was just going to go ahead and OTK at this point. So I go ahead and get Invocation. Link here. I probably could have made the A-lister link if I really wanted to, but I really wasn't just thinking about that. I was just making sure I have my plays completely through. So I make the Purgatrio, and from here it's game, because I'm going to go through everything with Purgatrio. But just for the added flex, I showed the Nadir Servant. So again, that's the game. He did play this game on his stream, so if anything, I'll leave that in the comments below. But I do want to thank you guys for liking the video and subscribing, and hope to see you guys again next time. See ya!